Hey everybody, this is Howard the Teaser King. Happy New Year to you. Hope you had a wonderful Christmas and New Year's is coming in a couple of days. Or well, tomorrow is New Year's Eve. I normally play poker, but these casinos are going so crazy that the poker rooms aren't even open, so it makes it very ridiculous. We can't. They want us to go to the casino and play video poker and slot machines and no food. So I pass on that. Anyway, let's talk about football. Great week last week. My pros went 10-3. I know on the Jets, Cleveland, I told you to take Cleveland unless the COVID hit, and the COVID hit. So it's very frustrating when you've got the play and then they're out for, because they got a flu, which most of them don't have. It's just a test that's positive, and then they end up not playing. But then if you notice, the next week they're all playing, so nobody's getting serious implications from this. There's no reason for these guys not to play. They're perfectly healthy. It's one thing when a guy's sick, he's in the hospital. Mostly the injuries, they break a leg or an ACL. That's understandable. Um, so it's hard because you make the bet. So an example is today my lock was Tampa Bay over the Lions by 600, and that one, and I have it with Florida Oklahoma over, which is the perfect over bet. Florida scores 40 a game and gives up 30. And like the Alabama game, it was a 98 point. In Oklahoma, all they do is score. They don't have a defense. So it was a perfect over. And then all the Florida players are resting for the NFL draft. And I'll tell you, I wouldn't draft any of them. I know Pitts is good and Tony's good, but if they're going to quit on their teammates, then that's what they're going to do in the pros. And I said the same thing about Leonard Fournette when he was at LSU and he took the bowl game off. He hasn't done anything in the pros. Jabril Peppers from Michigan, he screwed all his teammates. He hasn't done anything in the pros. It's very disappointing. And then I hear the Florida guys are going to play in the Senior Bowl. So it makes no sense because an all-star game doesn't give you a firm representation of it because their quarterback's probably not going to be in the Senior Bowl. I don't know if he's even a senior. And that's you're on a team, and that's really where you show your skills, not in an all-star game. I wouldn't watch an all-star game to get skills on a player. If I don't see him on his team doing it, there's no point in it. So I don't know what to do with the Florida game because I've already bet it's a 21 unit play, Tampa, Florida over, and this all happened the last few days, and the line went from over 70 to 64 now. And I'll tell you the truth, I still like the over in the game. I still think Oklahoma's going to score 50 points. And as long as Kyle Trask is playing the quarterback of Florida, I still think whoever he's got is now they get an opportunity. Look at the freshman last night for Texas. He had a huge night. So I'm not, Pitts, he didn't play much anyway. He was hurt the last few games. I'll look at the LSU game. It was 37-34, still a 71. So here I got to go over 64. The only thing I would say is to play the under, but now it's 64. So basically you got over and under 64, which sucks, to hedge the bet if you're afraid of it. That way you basically don't have a bet because of all these new the new implications of what's going on. And it's one thing if they had COVID, but they don't even have COVID. They're just resting so they don't get hurt. Right? What do they think is going to happen in the pros? They're gonna sit out and do nothing because they're going to get hurt every week. Because believe me, these guys are going to get hurt in the pros. They're going to get pulled muscles and all this stuff. And like I said, I wouldn't draft any of them. They're useless. They don't want to play. They're afraid of getting hurt. means to me they don't have the passion for the game, and I would never. I only want passionate players on my team. There's plenty of other wide receivers who are just as good or better. You got all these guys at Alabama, LSU. Um, and same thing with LSU. That Jamar Chase, was a great receiver last year, but I think he chickened out this year because he didn't have Jefferson and he didn't have Burrow, so he wasn't going to look good because everybody was guarding Jefferson, so Chase was wide open. And everybody had to worry about Chocolatey Clear running and Burrow on LSU last year. So now without them, he hides and he says, I'm not going to play. I'm afraid, not of injury, but he's going to look bad because he's not that good without all the other players around him. And so I would not, maybe I'd get him in the 6th or 7th round if he's there, but forget these guys. There's plenty of other good receivers who want to play. So that's the moral of the story. I've already given you San Jose State. I think they play, let's see, today's the 30th. They play tomorrow. And I'm going to give you a couple games because I'm really pissed off about this Florida game. So the first game I'm going to give you is West Virginia Army. And that line was 44. The over-under went down to like 42. West Virginia, surprisingly, is a very strong defensive team with no offense. They played, I believe it was Texas or Oklahoma to like a 19-16 game or 16-13. It was very low scoring. And you know how Army is. First of all, this is a new game. It was supposed to be West Virginia, Tennessee, and Tennessee, I guess, backed out. So here comes Army. Army was pissed off they weren't included in the first place. So they're going to play. And you don't have to worry about the Army players not playing to get ready for the draft. That's the good thing about playing teams like Army and these smaller teams who have something to prove. They're not going to sit there and dick around and their best players sit out like Florida is doing. They're going to play their players. You don't have the same concerns. I love Army under because they got a great defense and they run the ball 99% of the time, which runs the clock, which the quarterback is new. So you're not going to get a lot of scoring, but enough. And they go for it just about every 4th down, and they make it because they're very well coached. Good quarterback. The last one I saw play Navy, he was really elusive. So play this game under. You get about 48-49. And West Virginia's got a strong defense, so neither team's got the big offense to worry about. But I'll tell you, when Army went to play Oklahoma, and that game was 21-21 at overtime, they showed their big team. Okay, so go Army under. I already gave you San Jose State. That line already moved up. I'll tell you, I give a pick, and the line jumps 3 points on me. That's why I bet it early. So when you buy from me, you'll see the early plays are because I know the line's going to jump. And then you've got, now the only time now you're getting burnt when and it's usually bowl games when these players that bow out because they're afraid of injury. The next game is going to be the Auburn Northwestern game. Same story. Over under is 43.5. Northwestern held Ohio State 24 points, and Ohio State missed a couple of field goals and threw an interception in the end zone. But if Ohio State only scores 24 on you, Auburn does not have a good offense. They're a mid-20 type of offense and defense. Northwestern has no offense and a tremendous defense. Again, I see this as a very strong defensive struggle. Take Northwestern, and again under 49 or 50. Shouldn't get there normally unless the bad turnovers happen, but definitely like the Northwestern game under also. Now let's get to the real meat. Alabama, Notre Dame, and Ohio State, Clemson. Alabama, I see at 19.5, 20 against Notre Dame. Over under 65-66. Let's look at the matchup. Notre Dame's they're more of a running offense, and they're good against stopping the run. But Clemson really showed you what they're made out of. Clemson Let's look at that game. Clemson scored, where is it? 34-10. So they only got 10 points on Clemson, and Clemson put up 34 on them. I look at Alabama putting up at least in the 40s, if not 50s, because it's a playoff game. So Alabama's just going to keep pounding. They got the quarterback, they got the running back, they got the receiver. Good luck, Notre Dame. You're not going to stop them. But Notre Dame, the problem is, what is Alabama's strong suit defensively? Stop the run. Weak point defensively, the passing attack. Notre Dame doesn't have a passing attack. What's Notre Dame's strong point on defense? Stopping the run. Weak point, stopping the pass. What does Alabama do better than anybody? A, they have balance, and B, they can throw the ball and score. They got the receivers. They got everything on offense. But when Notre Dame gets behind and has to throw, forget about it. Because Alabama, their weak points, the secondary, the weak points, their pass defense. But Notre Dame can't take advantage of that. Notre Dame's going to run the ball, and you can't against Alabama. You can never run. It's the 72 Steelers because that's where trying to blank on the coaches. That's where Saban learned it from, was George Perlis, who was the defensive coordinator of the 70 Steelers. He won all the Super Bowls, and then he goes to Michigan State, where Saban's the defensive coordinator, and that's how he learns defense. So he's playing the Steelers' defense, but he doesn't have Mel Blount and J.T. Thomas and Mike Wagner in the secondary, and he doesn't have Joe Green pressuring the quarterback. So he can't play pass defense. So Clemson's going to have a field day against Alabama. That over, I will lock, will be 100 points in that game. Not that the line will be there, but that's what it should be. It'll be a 100-point game, Alabama-Clemson. But in this case, Alabama puts up at least 50 on them, and I don't see Notre Dame being able to score much on Alabama. They just don't have the passing offense. So they can't hurt the weakness of Alabama. And that's what it's all about. They're going to run into a brick wall, get nothing, maybe a touchdown or two. But they're not going to stop Alabama. Georgia couldn't. Florida couldn't. Nobody can. Clemson will come close. Game 2, Ohio State, Clemson. This is not a statistical pick. This is I talk about sixth sense and I talk about feel. And a lot of my customers ask me, is this a feel game or a statistic game? The statistic game is, Chicago's 20-0 against Green Bay. Okay, I'm betting Chicago. Do I love it? No, or yes, but it's a statistic game, so I'm going to play it. All my games have some feel in it. This game is all feel. I don't care what the trends are or anything, as long as everybody's healthy, which everybody is. Clemson, Ohio State. After watching Ohio State play Indiana, and they gave up a ton of points, then watching them play Northwestern, where they had trouble scoring in the red zone 5 times. They got 1 touchdown, missed 2 field goals, kicked a field goal, threw an end zone interception. I'm sorry if Fields is the number 2 pick, that team's going to be. It's like the quarterback Washington just let go from Ohio State. They don't do well in the pros, these Ohio State quarterbacks. It's a system. They run a wide open system. The quarterback's more of a runner. And the receivers are so fast, but in college, the defense can never stay up with them. So the defense has a hard time covering Ohio State because they can run, and the quarterback runs, and they throw, and they got great receivers. So it's very hard for most teams to cover. So the quarterback looks great. He's not going to do anything in the pros. I mean, Northwestern showed he's not good, and forget about that. Here's Clemson. This is a 100% gut feel, sixth sense pick. I love Clemson in this game. Only laying 1.5. It won't be close. Clemson's going to kill them. And I say that because Ohio State just looks terrible. So many injuries. Fields still has the hurt thumb. It's not like it's just healed in 2 weeks. Olave is injured. If he plays, he's not going to be healthy unless he takes the needle. They do in the pros all the time. I'm not sure in college how much needles they take. They all seem to be babies in college. Clemson's on fire because of having to sit their quarterback, Flower, or what's his name, Flowers? I don't know. Whatever the Clemson quarterback's name is, it escapes me now. My mind's somewhere else. But yeah, what's his name? I can see his long hair, but I can't think of his name. Anyway, they're on fire because of the COVID, and they missed 2 games, and they were and they lost the game. You saw them against Notre Dame, 34-10. Um, they beat Ohio State last year, where Ohio State got totally screwed on the one play where the receiver has it and he fumbles, and Ohio State takes it in for a touchdown. They call it an incomplete pass. Is the worst call. Obviously, a fixed game there where the refs, helped out Clemson win it, because Ohio State should have won the game. But you don't have the same team this year. You got a pissed off Clemson team who is very hungry and very upset, and they're very bad. They got the running back, they got the receivers, the quarterback is on fire, their defense is on fire, and they've seen Ohio State, but Ohio State doesn't have the same characters. They don't have J.K. Dobbins running the ball. Fields looks terrible. If Olave plays, that's another story. Their defense is nowhere what it used to be last year. You could see it in the Indiana game. Indiana puts up 35 points and should have won the game. And Clemson's gonna put up a big number on them, and Ohio State won't be able to match it. This game's gonna probably get ugly. Last year I loved Ohio State as the dog, and I even commented how strong they are as a dog. Not this year. This is not the same team. The defense is much weaker. Plus, they've only played 6 games, so they haven't really gelled. Um, they've missed too many games, so you got to gel, right, as a team, and you get used to playing next to each other, and they just haven't done it. They haven't played enough games, so they're not there. Clemson's played 10, 11 games. They're used to. They know where everybody's supposed to be. They won't make mistakes on offense and defense. Trevor Lawrence. I knew I'd think of the guy's name. It just took me a while. So anyway, Trevor Lawrence will be pissed off, and he came back to win the title, and they're probably gonna win it. They're not, but this Ohio State team is not normal. They're much weaker. And Fields, he looks terrible. You don't just look terrible and then play great, okay? If Olave's 100%, maybe, but Clemson's still gonna cover him and take him away, and they don't have the J.K. Dobbins. So the Master Teague's okay. The kid from Oklahoma against Northwestern runs for 300 yards, but they didn't score any touchdowns. He'd take it from the 20 to the 50, but that's just because Northwestern was playing the pass all game, and they let him have the run. Well, Clemson's going to take care of both. Anyway, this is a gut feel game, meaning it's a sixth sense. It's my third eye. I've already seen it. Clemson is going to win 25 points or so. Absolutely, 100%. Clemson wins the game. You're only laying 1.5. Now remember, the line's made for not for teasers. It's made for regular betting, and regular betting they kept Clemson at 7.5. I bet by game time it'll be Clemson by 9. Maybe not, because Ohio State thinks, oh, they're the dog, but they're not looking at the team. They're not looking at all the missed games. They're not looking at Fields playing terrible, and they're not looking at Clemson being pissed off. And they're still on fire, and they're playing that way. They destroyed Notre Dame, so there's your big pick. Clemson laying a 1.5 against Ohio State, no problem. So I've given you. You've already got San Jose State from last week. They're a very strong team, good quarterback, good coach, good defense. Ball State beat Buffalo, which was surprising, but when Buffalo played Marshall, they didn't look very good. So I'm not sure what, Buffalo beat a lot of weak teams. So I don't know how strong Ball State is, but San Jose State just beat Boise for the conference title, and as far as I'm concerned, Ball State's no Boise. They're a pretty good offensive team, but San Jose State, they're for real. So you got them. You've got the Army under. You've got the Northwestern under. You've got Alabama. It's a little high on the spread, but the matchup is so strong, Alabama, and they're pissed they weren't in the playoff last year. So a lot of this is why you can't mathematically pick games. It's all art, not science. You have to look at these things. Alabama in a super strong revenge game, revenged LSU, revenged Georgia. Florida, now they had that strong passing offense, and that's why I took the game over and not bet on Florida. Or I didn't take Alabama laying 17 down to 11 because I didn't trust their pass defense, and I was right, and I put the game over, and Florida kept scoring. So that's where that's at. But you don't have that offense with Alabama, with Notre Dame. You don't have that passing offense. Ian Brooks, he likes to run the ball. He's an average passer. Didn't light anything up. And they had a really weak schedule just playing ACC teams except for the Clemson game. And they beat the backup quarterback. But when the shit hit the fan in the game for the Atlantic Coast Conference, they didn't 34-10. And again, Alabama is really pissed off about missing the playoff. They're there to win championships. So your final game will be Alabama Clemson. My line will be Alabama, I think minus 4 to 6 points, just because they're more popular than Clemson. And I like the dog in that game. Take the dog in the Alabama Clemson game, which should be Clemson, and it should be, like I said, way over. I don't know how high they're going to make the over. It should be 70, I assume. If it's 70, I love the over. If it's 80, I'm not going to touch the over. But you give me Clemson in more than 10, 4.5 up to 10.5, I'll take Clemson. Thank you very much. That'll be a great game. But that's your final game. Quickly in the pros, this is so confusing. The only thing I know for sure is Roethlisberger's out for Pitt. Cleveland needs the game, but you got to wait to see if Cleveland has their players back. They lose all 4 receivers, so I guarantee you we're not sick and pissed off. So if they don't play, I don't like the line so high, even though without Roethlisberger, they were without him last year. Dallas owns the Giants. Green Bay, Chicago. It's a very close. Green Bay owns them, but in Chicago, Chicago plays very well. They're very strong as a home dog. Washington, Philly, it's all Philly. And who's the quarterbacks? You got to wait to see who's the Alex Smith. Maybe I like Washington. I don't know. Jalen Hurts, I have no idea. It's extremely difficult to bet him. They're figuring him out. They'll play him like Lamar Jackson, only he's a little better passer, which I'm shocked because he couldn't hit the broadside of a barn at Oklahoma. They would win on his running, and then he would throw to a wide open receiver. But that's that. Minnesota, Detroit. I absolutely love Minnesota. I don't know what Stafford's condition is. If he doesn't play, it's a lock. I'll tell you right now. Again, you've got to wait because Stafford hurt his ankle, his ribs, his thumb, and he keeps playing for some reason. Baltimore should crush Cincy. Miami, Buffalo. Is Buffalo going to play? Because if Roethlisberger's out, they're going to lose. Buffalo can lose, and I don't know what the big deal is to get the 2 or 3 seed anymore. The 1 seed you get the bye. The 2 and the 3 I don't get. They don't really help you with the bye, so I'm not sure if Buffalo's going to play or not. That's the problem. They don't play Miami. I love it. They play a very strong team, Buffalo. So I don't know. San Diego, KC again. San Diego, terrible road favorite. KC, I don't know if Mahomes is going to play or not. They've clinched. They have no reason to play. So we'll see what happens. But the reserves come in and they get their chance and they play. So it's tough in the NFL. Seattle must play because if Green Bay loses to Chicago, they can be the 1 seed, and they're both on at the same time. But I like Seattle here. They do own Frisco, um, and I see them. They seem healthy. Uh, the safety's back. Adams, Russell Wilson looks okay. Their defense looks much stronger. Although beating Jared Goff doesn't impress me at all. He's terrible. But again, Frisco's got their third string quarterback playing and some fourth string running back who wasn't even drafted, who I've never heard of. So I can't imagine Seattle losing this game. In Arizona and the Rams, you got Goff out, which is a plus for the Rams. But now you got Cup out, and I think the running back's out. Um, I would imagine this should be an under game because I don't know who the Rams' backup quarterback is. He'll be okay. It's the NFL. You have to understand in the NFL, the quarterbacks are all they're all pros. Some are better than others, but they're all pros, and you can't discount because Goff's out. I think the backup's probably better. Like Andy Dalton, I think is better than Prescott. And look at Dallas; they've been winning and going strong. Arizona again, Murray, man, he kills you. That was one of my only losers last week. I had a couple. That game smelled Arizona. Murray's terrible. I mean, you lost to Frisco with their third string quarterback and fourth string running back, and you lose at home a must-win game. So that shows you a lot about Arizona. I see the coach went for it on fourth down at his own 35, and he didn't make it. And Frisco scored, and this is in the third quarter. The coach needs to go. You cannot go for it on 4th and 2 at your own 35. You can go on the other 35, but not on your own 35. You got to punt the ball. You're playing a third string quarterback and a fourth string running back. You do not go for it. Then they score a touchdown. Well, you would have won the game if you would have punted and did that. And you can't. This whole idiotic go for it on fourth down and go for it too gets a lot more coaches fired than not. So the Rams, should be an under game. Arizona, you can't trust. You can't trust Murray. Other games that like Tampa Bay, are they playing? Maybe they play Brady the first half. They don't really need it. They're in. New Orleans, Carolina has New Orleans playing. They can't get the 1 seed, so there's no point. Although Taysom Hill's played a lot, and their defense, so they'll probably rest guys that are nagging injuries. Tennessee must win. So the teams that must win are Washington, Indy, Green Bay, and Chicago, Dallas, and the Giants, Cleveland, Tennessee, Baltimore, Miami. Seattle needs it if Green Bay loses, and they're on at the same time, and then the winner of the Arizona Ram game. So take it from there. That's what's needed this week. The hot teams against the spread in a teaser are Miami, Buffalo, San Diego, and Seattle are the best for over 85% in a teaser this year and last year. The play against, or you bet against them because in a teaser you win, is San Diego. So San Diego plays a bunch of close games. They win or lose every game by 3 points. The Jets, even though they've been strong, they were like 13-0. Now they're 13-2, but they're still 85% against. Although New England, I don't know what's going on there. Philadelphia is a play against, but again with Jalen Hurts, they're playing better, but still you have no idea. And of course the Lions are the worst team in the league, probably worse than Jacksonville. All their wins were flukes. They don't beat anybody. I mean, they beat Jacksonville, I think, is their only real win. Here you got them against Minnesota, and again, Stafford plays or not, their secondary sucks. I would say if Stafford plays, play the game over. And as far as I know, Minnesota's not resting. It's funny, the teams that's out of the playoffs, they don't rest their players. The teams in the playoffs rest, and guess what? They never win because when you throw off your timing of your passing, it's the worst thing you can do. Peyton Manning, how many years did they clinch, sit out this game, had the bye, and then lost the opening round to Pittsburgh, to New England, to Baltimore, because you can't, it's timing. You can't just turn it on. So I disagree with these guys that rest their players. If they want to rest their players, tell them to go play tennis or go play golf. But if you're going to play football, you play football. And it's a timing and rhythm sport, especially with all this offense going on. So that's it. So I'm really not giving you a pro game. I guess if I give you a pro game, it'll be go over in the Green Bay-Chicago game. Both teams need it. It's must win. I can't trust Chicago to beat Green Bay, but Chicago plays very well as a home dog in games in Chicago, but you don't have the crowd. But then the over's 50, you go 44. Rodgers is good for 30, and the way the Bears have been playing, I'm not afraid of Green Bay's defense holding Chicago under 10 points. So that's probably your best bet there because they both need the game. So it's not like they'll rest Rodgers unless they get way down. And then I would say take Seattle against Frisco because Seattle won't know what's happening and they're going to play, and they've been playing good ball, good defense, Russell Wilson. So that would be your other game. Baltimore needs it. Again, Miami, Buffalo, I would assume Buffalo's not going to try. So maybe you get in Miami, and then Cleveland. I'm still not comfortable till I see the guys off the wire, all the receivers. And I still don't like the 4. And then Tennessee, Houston. I'm so scared of Tennessee's defense. That's probably an over game too. I don't trust Tennessee will win the game, even though they need to win the game. As I say, look at Arizona last week. Just because a team needs it, they're not good enough to get it. They got to be good enough to win it. Even Kansas City, I laid away from Kansas City last week. I didn't like the line, 10 or 12 points to Atlanta, who's a very good team. I got a lot of talent on that team, and here KC wins by 3 in a must-win game for the number 1 seed, and they could barely beat Atlanta. So you got to learn who you can trust here, and it's usually the quarterback. Although Mahomes didn't do anything, and if Atlanta doesn't miss the kick, they might have won, which would have been better. Then we could have bet KC for the 1 seed over San Diego. Anyway, so that's your rundown. Happy New Year. Merry Christmas. So your Christmas present is this video. So, again, I got a new customer, and he says, well, I only have a small bankroll. I won't tell you how much. That's not fair to him. And I say the object here is to increase your bankroll. So don't bet everything on one game or one weekend or one play. You bet small, 10%, bet very small to build your bankroll. And that's all you do. That's how you bet. That's all you can do. If you got $1,000, you don't bet $1,000 on one game and then lose it and then cry, oh my God, I lost. You've got to understand this is gambling. You've got crooked refs. You've got crooked players. You've got the league wants certain teams to win for ratings. Their ratings are shit. I couldn't believe last Saturday the Christmas games, none of them were on TV. It was like they're on the NFL Network. I'm not signing up to the NFL Network to watch a football game that I can watch on YouTube in a 12-minute time span, watch the whole game. So I don't know who they're joking with, but I mean, you got to be kidding. Unless I was at Caesar's Palace, then I'd watch it. But at home, I'm not wasting time or money on the NFL Network. So to not have it on the regular ABC, CBS, Fox, NBC. They're out of their freaking minds. Even the Monday night games on ESPN should be on ABC because I'm not watching ESPN. So that's just my viewpoint. But anyway, there's a lot of injuries, especially in college with the COVID and the injuries. It's funny, in the pros, they don't cancel any game. They just move it back a day or two. But in college, they cancel games. Like, it's worse in college to have this test positive on COVID than it is in the pros. Something's funny there. Anyway, don't want to mix football and gambling with this other crap that's going on, but just think of it all as it's a fix. It's there's other reasons behind it. It's not good. Anyway, Happy New Year, Merry Christmas. I hope I make you a lot of money. I got a nice tip from one of my customers on Sunday. All of a sudden, I get a PayPal and I don't know, thank you. Because I don't know, why would I get a buyer Sunday night when the games are already done for Sunday? So he would have won. I had the Green Bay over with Buffalo Monday night, so he would have won that bet. But it was very nice of him. I appreciate that. I try to give you a lot of picks and a lot of information on here that will help you study the picks and understand the logic behind the picks. And, it's with these last second COVID, like the Florida game tonight, I still think Florida and Oklahoma go into the 80s. I still, because even though the wide receivers on Florida, they have other wide receivers, or they can put running backs out there and have them be wide receivers or tight ends, and you still have, as long as the quarterback's healthy, and Oklahoma's going to put up 50 points against this Florida defense. So I still like over 64. Had I known all this, I would have locked the Army under or Clemson instead of Florida over. But Florida Oklahoma at 64 was an easy over. I mean that's a joke. All right, everybody. Well, good luck to you. Happy New Year. Enjoy your New Year's Eve and New Year's Day. We got some nice games. You got San Jose State tomorrow, and then you got Northwestern, and then Alabama Clemson, and then that'll be your final Alabama Clemson. Okay, I think I covered everything. Good luck to you. www.teaserking.com. I'm down to $100 for everything through the Super Bowl, but I just gave you most of the bowl games, so it's mostly going to be the NFL playoffs. And then the college play, the Alabama Clemson game. And that's it. But just keep your eye on the spread. If you see a line move, go to the injuries and go, what the hell's going on here? Like Florida, what? All of a sudden, you got all these guys wimping out, all these receivers afraid to get hurt. Oh my God. Don't play football, fellas. Okay, everybody. Happy New Year. www.teaserking.com. I appreciate you watching the videos. I hope there's no commercials on it. I'm really getting tired of YouTube popping in commercials onto the videos. I've tried to avoid all that so you can get into the analysis part of it. Okay, I'll shut up. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. Enjoy the games.